real quick, I want to say if y'all would like the video and subscribe, it helps my channel out a lot, so I'd appreciate it. Thank y'all. So Type Soul has been out for about a week now, and I think it's been enough time that we can have an honest conversation about what we think about Type Soul. Me personally, I have been enjoying it, but there definitely are a lot of issues with Type Soul in general, so I want to go over my personal issues and also address what you guys thought. So I'm in a community post. If you want to participate in that next time, make sure to subscribe. But let's get into it. This first comment is something I agree with, but I do understand why some people might not agree with this. What this comment is essentially saying is they need to make a way to re-roll your Shikan Resurrection for free, and they also need to make the legendary odds higher since 1% is crazy. So let me address this in two parts. The first part being re-rolling your Shikai for free. I do think there should be a method to re-roll for free. It shouldn't be easy because they still need to make some money somehow, so I do understand that to an extent. But 800 Robux to re-roll to get something random is crazy. I'm sorry, that's just not reasonable. So some of you guys must be thinking, what are the alternatives to spending the 800 Robux? Well, you could wipe for 500 Robux and then restart from there and then hope you get a different Shikai, or you could make an alt account and play the game for hours to get to the point where you get your Shikai and see what you get. Now what this essentially means is the only way to get what Shikai or Resurrection you want free to play is to make millions of alt accounts until you get the one you want, which is especially going to be bad if you want to get a legendary, which is 1%, which is why the second part of this comment also makes sense, because 1% legendary is so ridiculous to me, especially when it costs 800 Robux just to spin. So essentially what you're telling me is I need to spend 800 Robux 100 times to get a legendary. So if you want ice or ink Shikai, you're pretty much non-existently getting it. It's not happening. Now I do understand that getting a legendary shouldn't be easy. It's legendary for a reason, but you can't tell me that 1% and 800 Robux to spin is not ridiculous, but that's just me. So this next comment says that solo is basically impossible and it's a bit overwhelming as a beginner. Now me personally, I didn't play alone and I did watch videos, so I did understand what I was doing, but I do understand how someone would feel like this. The game is not really that intuitive. It doesn't really walk you through a lot, which I do like to an extent, but I definitely understand why some people feel this way. You gotta think about it. This game was initially a CC game. Some people don't know that, which essentially means this game was meant to be on the hardcore side. So now that this game went public, you have a lot of people that aren't used to games like this in general, so they really don't understand what they're supposed to be doing and why the grind takes so long in general. But what I will say is the Type Soul devs have definitely been changing a lot of the things that are overly difficult for no reason. For example, they increased the time gain between ranks so you rank up faster because it was kind of ridiculous how long it took between ranks. And someone told me they made some of the holo progression a bit easier. I didn't go holo, so I'm not exactly sure how true this is, but I do understand that's a good thing if the holo progression is easier, because holo progression is literally bad in every game. And this brings me to the next concern, which a bunch of you guys had, and it's essentially how race progression is very unbalanced. Some progression is very easy and some is very difficult, and it essentially feels like you're picking a difficulty depending on what race you want to play. Me personally, I played on a Soul Reaper and a Quincy account. On the Quincy account, I felt like I was playing on easy mode. The Soul Reaper account was a bit more difficult, and I tried to make a holo account and I literally stopped playing on it just because it felt too annoying. So with that being said, I do understand why y'all are saying that, and a common response I see to this complaint is the fact that it's more canon that way. Holo progression is more difficult than Bleach and stuff like that. But in my personal opinion, I think that's stupid. I think the game should be focused on fun and enjoyability, not what's more canon to Bleach. My kind of philosophy is essentially give the players the tools to do what they want and let them do it. When you make some stuff very difficult and you make some stuff very easy, you're essentially forcing players to go one route even when they do want to go a different one. I wish I could see a statistic on how many people went Quincy, not because they like Quincy or wanted to go Quincy, but simply because Quincy is really strong, and how many more people would have gone holo if they knew that holo progression was actually good. Next, I want to address something I really don't understand, and that's people complaining about the animations. By no means are these GPO animations, I know, but these animations are not bad enough that you really need to complain or not play the game because of them. And I think most of us could agree gameplay is way more important than animations. So if we compare a game like Project Mugetsu with really good animations but bad gameplay to a game like this with good gameplay and bad animations, we would definitely agree that this is the better game, right? But people caring too much about animations is how we get games like Project Mugetsu that are so successful. So me personally, I personally think you should try this game out regardless of if you like the animation or not. And also, still some of the animations are really cool in my opinion. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I didn't even know this was a thing, but if this is real, this is stupid, and I get what the guy is saying here. Apparently there's rules on your Bankai, essentially meaning you can't use the Bankai on lower level players, which maybe sounds like a good idea, but this is something you really can't enforce and makes no sense to even be a thing. And you're telling me I'm gonna do all this grinding to get a Bankai and I can't even use it? And what the comment said about the devs still thinking this is a CC game makes a lot of sense if you consider this. In a a closed community game, you can enforce rules like this, but you really can't enforce something like this or even do something like this in a public game with over 20,000 players. And also making the Bankai requirements overly impossible to get makes sense in a CC game, but it doesn't make sense to do that in a public game. I never really understood this philosophy of let's limit a lot of the content in this game to only a select few hundred players when there's thousands of players on this game. Maybe someone in the comments can explain this to me because I really don't understand it. Now, I've seen a lot of people complain about the Lightning Shikai Boss being too strong, and I do understand why they're saying this because I had to get the Lightning Shikai myself. It took me like 4 or 5 attempts, and that's a lot less than some people. I've seen some people say they're at like 12 attempts. But really, I wanted to use this to just address some of the general issues with the Shikai Boss. First of all, there shouldn't be an hour gap between how many times you can fight it. I really don't understand making your players wait an hour for no reason. And for those that don't know, there's also a strategy where essentially you put none of your stat points in until you fight your Shikai Boss so that the Shikai Boss doesn't have your abilities. And I personally didn't do this. And obviously, this makes your boss fight a lot easier, and I don't think this strategy in itself is a problem, but what becomes a problem to me is the fact that so many players are going to play this game without even knowing that's a strategy possible, and then they're going to be on their Shikai Boss and not able to beat it, and then they have to wait an hour to reattempt just to get destroyed by the same skills. But these are just my opinions and thoughts on the game. Let me know what you guys think. I do still think the game is really good and I will be playing it. I might be streaming right now when you're watching this, I don't know. But also, if you guys would like and subscribe, it helps my channel a lot, so I would appreciate it. But either way, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Later.